First, draw a straight line across the top, and that's going to be your shoulder line. Next, put a mark at 3 inches on your shoulder line, and do a mark that's 3 inches down, and connect those 2 points. That's the curve of your collar. Next, you're going to take your shoulder length, divide it in half, and put a mark at that point. Half of my shoulder length is 9. So from that shoulder mark, go down 1 inch. Now connect this point with this point, collar to your shoulder. The next thing I'm going to do is mark the length for my armhole. Measure the depth of your armhole and then divide it by 2, and then put a mark where that measurement is. Half of my armhole is 9 3/4. So I'll put a mark here, and I'll draw a straight line. Next, let's put in all the marks for your measurements. My armhole length is 9 3/4, so I'll put a mark at 9 3/4, then draw a straight line down to meet it. I'm gonna connect this mark to the front of my pattern. And that's gonna be my bust line. Next, put a mark from your shoulder line to your waist. From my shoulder line to my waist is 19.5, so I'll put a mark at 19.5. My waist divided by 4 is 8.5, so I put a mark at 8.5 and I connect that line. From my waist to my hip is 7 inches, so I put a mark at 7 inches. My hip divided by 4 is 9. So I put a mark at 9 and draw a straight line. From my waist to my crotch is 13 inches. So I put a mark at 13 inches. And then I put a mark 1 inch below that. And I put a mark 1 inch in from that. And I connect a small curve from my crotch line to this new mark I just made. 1 inch in and 1 inch down. And my inseam is 30, so from my crotch to my ankle is 30. So I'm gonna put a mark from 30 inches from my crotch, and also do a mark 1 inch in from my inseam. From that 1 inch mark in, I'm gonna draw a line that is 5.5 inches long, and that's going to be my ankle. Now it's time to connect all of our lines. First, I'm going to connect my side seams together from my bust to my waist, and from my waist to my hip. And from my hip all the way down to my ankle. Next, I'm going to connect my crotch mark that 1 inch down from my crotch and 1 inch in to the inside of my ankle. That's 1 inch in. And this should be just a straight line from your crotch line to your ankle. Next, I'm going to do the curve of my sleeve. Find the midpoint from this line to where you came down for your bust / armpit. Find the midpoint. And from that midpoint, take it in 3/4 of an inch. Now you're going to connect from your shoulder slope to that midpoint, straight line. And then from the midpoint down to your bust line, from the midpoint down to your shoulder length / bust, you're going to curve it, connect the curve. Now this pattern will be the front. You're going to cut this on a fold, cut on fold. This is the front. So I'm writing my notes on the pattern. To get the back, we're just going to make slight adjustments to this pattern. Remember we had working with 2 layers of paper, so now when we create the back pattern and you cut it out, you're gonna have a back and then a front as well. So we only need to make 2 adjustments. The first adjustment is the collar. So instead of going 3 inches down for the back, we need to just go 1 inch down and then connect a slight curve to that line. So now this is your back and this is your front. The other adjustment we need to make is the armhole on the back. So you came in 3/4 of an inch for the armhole on the front. You don't need to come in for the armhole on the back. So we're going to use that original straight line from the midway point connected to the armhole down here. So I'll draw another slight curve for the armhole, the back. Now the first cutout you're going to do is going to follow the lines for the back pattern. The pattern that was underneath is going to be your back, right? Back. I'm writing back bodysuit and cut on fold. Next, cut out the rest of the detail for the front armhole and the front neckline. Next, we draw the sleeve. Go down a little bit so you leave room at the top of your pattern and draw a mark for 0. Then from your 0 line, which represents your underarm, put a mark the length of your underarm to your wrist. From my underarm to my wrist is 22, so I'll put a mark at 22. From that 22-inch mark, I'm going to go in 3.5 inches to make the circumference for my wrist. From my 0 mark, I'm going to go in 6.5 inches, which is half of the circumference of my bicep. From my bicep circumference to my wrist circumference, from my bicep radius to my wrist radius, I'm going to make a straight line. Next, take your bodysuit pattern and trace the reverse curve of your sleeve. So I'm going to line up the points of each pattern at the armpit and at the fold, and I'm going to trace the reverse curve. And I'm going to trace the curve. This part of the sleeve is the back, so I'm writing back on that side. Cut out your pattern. This is the back of the sleeve. Now we have to trace the sleeve curve for the front of the sleeve.